Morning, Santa Barbara. Good morning, Iloilo. Good morning, Philippines. My dear friends, today is the day that we have been waiting for. We have to bid with the logic needed. Of course, we have now the confidence needed for this bid. And since we are now ready, let's say a little prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, as we gather here today, we humbly bow before your presence. Grant us the wisdom to discern, the humility to accept, and the strength to follow the path you have set before us. We seek your guidance, Lord, as we embark on this bid opening and pre-bid conference. May your light shine upon our discussions and may our decisions align with your divine will. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Our procurement head, Engineer Elna Nepomuceno, will now call the roll.
Good morning once again. May I present to you the members of Bids and Awards Committee of Iloilo 4th District Engineering Office, headed by Engineer Eva Espidonia as back Vice Chairperson, Engineer Gemma H. Tamagos as back member, Engineer Jaime E. Sumagaysay as back provisional member, and Engineer Madonna Mi S. Sadaba as back provisional member, end user for construction project, and Miss DBL Amper as back provisional member as end user for goods and services. May I turn over this to Engineer Eva Espidunia for our bid opening for one contract project for goods and to be followed by our pre-bid conference.
Good morning once again. Since the members of Bids and Awards Committee are in quorum, I declare this opening of bid for goods and services, and simultaneously we have the pre-bid conference in order. So we have one contract ID for this bid opening. 24 GGI 001, supply and delivery of fuel for use of grass cutter, service vehicles and heavy equipment for the maintenance of national road and bridges within the jurisdiction of the DPWH Iloilo 4th District Engineering Office, Santa Barbara, Iloilo, for the first quarter of CY 2024, with approved budget for the contract of 999,300 pesos. And for the bidder who submitted manually, we have lone bidder, GMB Petron Gasoline Station. For required bid security for all projects, cash or cashier's or manager's check issued by Universal or Commercial Bank is 2% of the approved budget for the contract. For the bank draft, guarantee or irrevocable letter of credit issued by Universal or Commercial Bank, still 2% of the approved budget for the contract. For the surety bond callable upon demand issued by a surety or insurance company duly certified by the Insurance Commission as authorized to issue such security is 5% of the approved budget for the contract. And for the bid securing declaration must have 120 calendar days validity period. Okay, let's proceed for the opening and preliminary examination of bids and determination of compliance requirement for technical component, which is envelope A. Please. Okay, let's proceed for the opening of financial proposal, which is envelope B. Okay, for financial result for contract ID 24 GGI 001. Supply and delivery of fuel for use of roads and bridges within the jurisdiction of the DPWH Iloilo 4th DEO Santa Barbara for the first quarter of CY 2024 with approved budget for the contract of 999,300 pesos for GMB Petron Gasoline Station in a form of bid securing declaration with 120 calendar days validity period with a bid amount of 991,755 pesos. Bid are subject to bid evaluation and post-qualification. Okay, let's proceed for our pre-bid conference for civil works. Okay, and for the contract data, contract ID number 24GI0057. Construction of Aganan flood control structure, Jaro Aganan River, Barangay Balabag and Jibao-an, Santa Barbara, Iloilo, located at Santa Barbara, Iloilo, with a funding source of FY 2024 General Appropriation Act, RA number 11975, with a scope of work, construction of reinforced concrete flood control, with approved budget for the contract of 72,375,000 pesos with 272 calendar days for the contract duration. Next contract is contract ID 24GI0058, preventive maintenance of road, asphalt overlay, Mandurriao-Sn Miguel-Alimodian-Maasin-Cabatuan Road with kilometer 14 plus 457 to kilometer 16 plus 166, located at San Miguel, Iloilo, with a funding source of FY 2024 GARA number 11975. The scope of works 50 mm thick asphalt overlay of 6.8 lane kilometer road, with approved budget for the contract of 61,250,000 pesos with 116 calendar days for the contract duration. Next contract is contract ID 24GI0059, Preventive Maintenance of Road, Asphalt Overlay, Mandurriao-Sn, Miguel-Alimodian-Maasin-Cabatuan Road, kilometer 21 plus 460 to kilometer 24 plus 166, located at Alimodian, Iloilo. With the funding source of FY 2024 GARA number 11975 with the scope of works 50 mm thick asphalt overlay of 5.36 lane kilometer road with approved budget for the contract of 53,900,000 pesos with 110 calendar days for the contract duration. Next contract is contract ID 24GI0060, construction of road, Barangay Biri, Sur, Leon, Iloilo, located at Leon, Iloilo, with the funding source of FY 2024 General Appropriation Act, RA number 11975. Scope of work, construction of concrete road, with approved budget for the contract of 9,800,000 pesos, with 60 calendar days for the contract duration. Next contract is contract ID 24GI0061, construction of multipurpose building, Barangay Café, Santa Barbara, Iloilo, located at Santa Barbara, Iloilo, with a funding source of FY 2024 General Appropriation Act, RA number 11975, with the scope of work, construction of multipurpose building, 16 meter by 24.4 covered gym, with 6 spans footing, column, tie beams, wall footing, embankment, SOF, roof framing, roofing as per plan and specification, with approved budget for the contract of 4,950,000 pesos with 164 calendar days for the contract duration. Next contract is contract ID 24GI0062, construction completion of multipurpose building, Lanag, Santa Barbara, Iloilo, located at Santa Barbara, Iloilo, with a funding source of FY 2024 GAA RA number 11975. Scope of work, completion of multipurpose building, which includes masonry works, roofing, painting works, and additional of 4 meter by 3.75 meter building, with approved budget for the contract of 2,970,000 pesos with 50 calendar days for the contract duration. Next contract is contract ID 24GI0063, construction or completion of multipurpose building, Barangay Balabag, New Lucena, Iloilo, located at New Lucena, Iloilo, with a funding source of FY 2024 GAA RA number 11975, with a scope of works, construction of multipurpose building, 16 meter by 4 meter covered gym with 1 span roofing, footing, column, tie beams, SOF, roof framing, roofing with 2 sides, storm drainage and electrical works as per plan and specification, with 2,970,000 for the approved budget for the contract and 59 calendar days for the contract duration. And for the last contract, we have contract ID 24GI0064, construction or completion of multipurpose building, Alibango Central Elementary School, Alimodian, Iloilo, located at Alimodian, Iloilo, with a funding source of FY 2024 GAA Act RA number 11975, completion of multipurpose building including earthworks, concrete works, masonry works, ceiling works, electrical works, painting, tile works, door, window, storm drainage, catch basin, and finishes as per plan and specification for the scope of work, with approved budget for the contract of 2,970,000 pesos with 106 calendar days for the contract duration.
For the eligibility requirements, we have for Class A documents and for Class B documents. Under the Class A documents, we have the legal documents. Registration certificate from Securities and Exchange Commission Department of Trade and Industry for sole proprietorship or cooperative development authority for cooperatives. Mayor's permit or business permit issued by the city or municipality where the principal place of business of the prospective bidder is located, or the equivalent document for exclusive economic zones or areas. The third is the tax clearance per EO 398 series of 2005 as finally reviewed and approved by the Bureau of Internal Revenue. Under the technical documents, we have the valid pickup license or special pickup license in case of joint venture and registration for the type and cost of contract to be bid. For contract ID 24GI 0057, we have the license category B. Kind of projects is GA-2 for irrigation or flood control, and the size range is medium A. For contract IDs 24GI 0058 and 24GI 0059, we have the license category B, kind of project GE-1 for road, highways, pavement, railways, airport horizontal structure, and bridges, and the size range is medium A. For contract ID 24GI 0060, the license category is C and D, and the kind of project is GE-1 for road, highways, pavement, railways, airport horizontal structure, and bridges, and the size range is small b. For contract IDs 24GI 0061, 24GI 0062, 24GI 0063, and 24GI 0064, the license category are Z and B and D, and the kind of project is GB-1 for building or industrial plant, and the size range is small b. The statement of the bidder of all its ongoing government and private contracts, including awarded but not yet started, if any, whether similar or not similar in nature and complexity to the contract to be bid. Statement of the bidder's single largest completed contract, similar to the contract to be bid. Are they adjusted to current prices using Philippine Statistics Authority consumer price indices? And must be at least 50% of the approved budget for the contract to be bid, provided, however, that contractors under small a and small b categories without similar experience on the contract to be bid may be allowed to bid if the cost of such contract is not more than the allowable range of contract cost of the registration based on the guidelines as prescribed by the PCAB. And the contract shall be considered similar to the contract to be bid if it has the following categories. For contract ID 24GI 0057, the major category of works are the flood control, which include construction of slope protection using structural measure such as revetment, retaining wall, retaining structures, or wire net. And the similar categories of work are the following. For road construction, slope protection using structural pleasures, example of that is the revetment, retaining wall, structure, and wire net. And for flood control, we have the hydraulics, river control. And for ports and harbors, we have the causeway. And for the flood control, we have the hydraulics dam. For contract ID 24GI 0058 and 24GI 0059, the major category of works for roads are construction and of asphalt, and the similar categories of work is the roads rehabilitation for asphalt. The contract for contract ID 24GI 0060, the major category of work for roads are construction of Portland cement concrete pavement, and the similar categories of works are the following. For roads rehabilitation, we have the Portland cement concrete pavement, and for roads construction of tunnel, and under that is the Portland cement concrete pavement. For contract ID 24GI 0061, 62, 63, and 64, the major category of works for the buildings or construction without piles, low-rise, concrete frame from 1 to 5 stories. And the similar categories of works are the following. For building construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame cast-in-place piles. For building construction with piles, low-rise concrete frame cast-in-place piles. For building construction with piles, high-rise concrete frame driven piles. And for building construction with piles, low-rise concrete frame driven piles. And for building construction without piles, high-rise concrete frame. Also, building industrial plant, low-rise, building industrial plant, high-rise, and building industrial plant, medium-rise. For the financial documents, we have the following. The bidder's audited financial statements showing, among others, the bidder's total and current assets and liabilities stamp received by the BIR or its duly accredited and authorized institutions for the preceding calendar year, which should not be earlier than 2 years from the date of bid submission. The bidder's computation of net financial contracting capacity, or the NFCC, must be at least equal to the approved budget for the contract, computed using the prescribed formula. NFCC is equal to the current assets minus current liabilities times 15, minus the value of all outstanding or uncompleted portions of the projects under the ongoing contracts, including the awarded contracts yet to be started, coinciding with the contract to be bid. The values of the domestic bidders' current assets and current liabilities shall be based on the latest audited financial statements submitted to the BIR. And for Class B documents, this is for joint venture. We have the valid joint venture agreement in accordance with the RA 4566 and its RRR. Each partner of the joint venture shall submit their respective PhilGIP certificates of registration in accordance with the Section 8.5.2 of this IRR. The submission of the technical and financial eligibility documents by any of the joint venture partners constitutes compliance, provided that the partner responsible to submit the NFCC shall likewise submit the statement of all of its ongoing contracts and audited financial statements.
Submission and receipt of bids. For the first envelope, the technical proposal. In the second envelope is registration under Platinum membership in compliance to GPPB Resolution 15-2021, dated October 14, 2021, issued in accordance with the amended Section 8.5.2 of the 2016 revised IRR of RA 9184. The pickup license and registration, special pickup license if joint venture. The statement of all ongoing government and private contracts. The statement of ACLCC in FCC computation in GBA if applicable. Validity period. If the form of surety bond submit also a certification issued by the Insurance Commission or original copy of the notarized bid securing declaration. For bid validity period of 100 calendar days from the date of submission of bids, the bid security validity period is 120 calendar days from the date of submission of bids. The forms of bid security. For cash or cashier's funded check issued by a universal or commercial bank, 22% of the ABC. For bank draft guarantee or a revocable letter of credit issued by a universal or commercial bank, 2% of ABC. For surety bond callable on demand issued by surety or insurance company duly certified by the Insurance Commission or authorized to issue such security, 5% of ABC. Project requirements, which shall include the following: the organizational chart for the contract to be bid, the list of contractors personnel, a project manager, project engineers, materials engineers, and foremen to be assigned to the contract to be bid with their complete qualification and experience data. the list of contractors' major equipment units, which are owned, leased, or under purchase agreement, supported with a proof of ownership or certification of availability of equipment from the equipment lessor or vendor for the duration or project, as the case may be. And original duly signed omnibus sworn statement, and if applicable, original notarized secretary certificate in case of a corporation, partnership, or cooperative, or original special power of attorney of all members of the joint ventures, giving full power and authority to each officer to sign the OSSS and do acts to represent the bidder. The content of the second envelope, the financial proposal. Original or duly signed and accomplished financial bid form in accordance with the form prescribed in Section 10, bidding forms of bidding documents. Original or duly signed bid prices and the bill of quantities. The duly accomplished detailed estimates form, including a summary sheet indicating the unit prices of construction materials, labor rates, and equipment rentals used in coming up with a bid, and the cash flow by quarter.
Bid evaluation. The financial component of the bids of each past bidder shall be evaluated using non-discretionary criteria, including arithmetical corrections for computational errors, and thus determine the correct total calculated bid prices. The Bids and Awards Committee shall automatically disqualify any total calculated bid price which exceeds the approved budget for the contract. The following factors are to be considered in the evaluation of the bid prices. First, completeness of the bids includes bids not addressing or providing all of the required items in the bidding documents, including the bill of quantities, shall be considered non-responsive and thus automatically disqualified. No price in required items shall be considered non-responsive and thus automatically disqualified, indicating a zero or a dash free to the government, and all prices are deemed to include all taxes. For arithmetical corrections, bid prices and figures versus words prevail. Total price per item versus unit price per item as extended or multiplied by the quantity of the item, unit price prevails. Total price per actual sum of component items, actual sum prevails, and unit cost and detailed estimates versus unit cost and bill of quantities prevails. And last, total calculated bid prices as evaluated and corrected for computational errors and other bid modifications which exceed the approved budget for the contract shall be disqualified. For post-qualification, the post-qualifications shall verify, validate, and ascertain the veracity, authenticity, and validity of all the Class A eligibility documents supporting the PhilJEP Certificate of Registration and Membership in accordance with Section 8.5.2 of Revised IIR of RA 9184, and all the other statements made and documents submitted by the bidder using non-discretionary criteria. These criteria shall consider but shall not be limited to the following: legal requirements to verify, validate, and ascertain licenses, certificates, permits, and agreements submitted by the bidder, and the fact that it is not included in any blacklist as provided in Section 25.3 of Revised IRR of RA 9184. Technical requirements. Verification and validation of the bidder's stated competence and experience, and the competence and experience of the bidder's key personnel to be assigned to the project. Verification of availability and commitment, and or inspection and testing for the required capacities and operating conditions of equipment units to be owned, leased, under purchase by the bidder for use in the contract under bidding.
Failure of the prospective bidder to state a complete technical description of the pledged equipment and the specific location shall result in the bidder's automatic post-disqualification for award of contract and forfeiture of its bid security per DO number 58 series of 2012. Checking the performance of the bidder in its ongoing government and private contracts, if any of these ongoing contracts shows negative slippage of at least 15% in any one project or negative slippage of at least 10% in each of two or more contracts. Failure of the contractor to commence repair works and to complete ongoing contracts in the prescribed date after receipt of notice on defects and deficiencies. Failure of the contractor to commence repair works on contracts with pending certificates of acceptance in the prescribed date after the receipt of the notice of defects and failures. Substandard quality of works or unsatisfactory performance per contract term and conditions at the time of inspection. DO number 127 series 2018, strict application of RA 9184 in the conduct of post-qualification of bidders with delayed ongoing contracts with the DPWH. Note that if the BAC verifies any of these deficiencies to be due to the contractor's fault or negligence, the agency shall disqualify the contractor from the award. Ascertainment of the authenticity of the bid security and its correctness as to type, amount, form and wording, and validity period as required in the bidding documents. For financial requirements, to verify, validate, and ascertain the bid price proposal of the bidder, and whenever applicable, the required committed line of credit in the amount specified and over the period stipulated in the bidding documents or the bidder's NFCC to ensure that the bidder can sustain the operating cash flow of the transaction. Notes on the personnel and equipment requirements of the project as per DO number 9 series of 2012, technical requirements for civil work projects for public bidding. If a proposed key technical personnel is an employee of the bidder and working on another project at the same time of the bidding, the bidder shall submit a certification that the personnel will be pulled out from the ongoing project once the bidder is awarded the contract, and he or she will be replaced with another person with equal or better qualifications as certified by the head of the implementing office. The bidder may propose a key technical personnel who is not its employee, provided that the said personnel is required to submit a certification that he or she will work for the bidder if it is awarded a contract under bidding. This certification shall be included in the first envelope of the sealed bid. Also to be verified during post-qualification is the set of equipment pledged by the bidder. The bidder shall specify in the submitted bid the location of the equipment where they can be inspected. If any equipment is not in the specified location, then the bidder shall be post-disqualified. For the list of key personnel for all projects, we have project manager with 5 minimum years of similar experience and 5 minimum years of total work experience. For project engineer, 3 minimum years of similar experience, 3 minimum years of total work experience. For project inspector, 2 years of similar experience and 2 minimum years of total work experience. For materials engineer 1, 2 years minimum years of similar experience and 2 minimum years of total work experience. For safety officer, 1 minimum year of similar work experience and 1 year of total work experience. For foreman, 1 minimum year of similar experience and 1 minimum year of total work experience. For the list of key equipment units may be owned, leased, or under purchase agreements supported by certification of availability of equipment from the equipment lessor vendor, you may refer to the posted bidding documents. The proof of ownership of equipment requirements are copies of current LTO official receipt and certificate of registration of the equipment, which should be attached together with the affidavit of ownership. In case of leased equipment, a lease contract and affidavit of commitment should be submitted, and with the lessor or owner as the pledger of the equipment, stating therein that the equipment will be available for the whole duration of the project. For purchase agreement, the description of the equipment to be purchased, such as brand, model, type of equipment, motor number, body number, and the capacity must be indicated in the document, otherwise the bank will not honor the purchase agreement and the bidder will be declared as non-complying. Likewise, lease subcontractors' major equipment units pledged to be used for the project must be supported by proof of ownership if it is owned, lease agreement if it is being leased, and purchase agreement if to be purchased. A certification of availability of equipment for the duration of project must also be provided by the equipment owner and or lessor or vendor. Prospective bidders or contractors are likewise required for the inclusion of the minimum material testing equipment in the technical component of the bid, in compliance with DEO number 11 series of 2017, superseding DEO number 80 series of 1990 and all other issuances. All documents in support of the ownership of equipment pledge, CR certificate of registration and current LTO OR official receipt, sales invoice, official receipt if applicable, and other documents photocopied from the originals shall be legibly readable and will be authenticated as needed during the post-qualification process. Orally, DO number 55 series of 2012 dated August 29, 2012 further provides the inclusion of material data on the pledged equipment of the bidder by requiring all bidder or contractor to fully comply with the contract minimum equipment requirements as prescribed in the bid documents, a complete technical description of their pledged equipment, whether owned or leased, such as but not limited to the engine number, year, model, chassis number, plate number, production and load capacity, availability, and operating condition. In addition, bidders were also required to state in their bid documents the particular place or site where the equipment are located as provided for under DO number 9, series of 2012, that failure to comply with the said requirements shall result in the bidder's automatic post-qualification process for award and for feature of its bid security.
For contract award, the contract shall be awarded to the bidder whose bid has been determined to be the lowest calculated and responsive bid as a result of the detailed evaluation and post-qualification conducted. Contract award should be made within the bid validity period, and take note that subcontracting is not allowed. Here are the common reasons for rejection of bids and eligibility and post-disqualification of bidders. Failure to submit the original copy of the surety bond certified by the Insurance Commission indicating the name of project, the procuring entity, and name of contractor. Shorter bid validity and bid security validity period. Overlapping of pledged equipment and committed key technical personnel. Failure to indicate the validity of bid in the bid form. Late submission of bid. Failure to submit supporting documents such as certification of availability of equipment from the equipment lessor or vendor for the duration of the project if equipment pledge is to be leased or purchased. Negative slippage of at least 15% in any one project or negative slippage of at least 10% in each of two or more contracts, and unsatisfactory CEPES rating. Another common errors in the submission of bids: incomplete pages of bid, technical and financial documents, authority of the signatory to sign on behalf of the bidder. Under that, we have the single proprietor. Signatory should be in the owner or proprietor only. Corporation or cooperative, board secretary certificate and board resolution. For joint venture resolution or agreement. And for the partnership, as indicated and articles of partnership. And for the schedule, the deadline for submission of clarification and amendment is on February 2, 2024. Addressed to Sanchez C. Caigoy, Chairperson, Bids and Awards Committee, with the email address caigoy.santia@dpwh.gov.ph, or Elna P. Nepomuceno, Head Procurement Unit, with the email address nepomuceno.elna@dpwh.gov.ph. And the deadline for submission of bids is on February 13, 2024 at 9 o'clock in the morning. And number of copies of bid proposal, we have one original copy of the first technical and second financial envelope of each bid. And place submission of bids back or procurement office of DPWH Iloilo 4th DEO. To all prospective bidders, you may submit your bid either electronically or manually pursuant to Department Order Number 87, Series of 2020, and submit your queries, if any, until February 2 of 2024, at least 10 days from the opening of bid. Okay, that's all for this morning. Our pre-bid conference and opening of goods and services adjourned at exactly 10:55 in the